Hey, look, I have a fancy dog hat. Or is it 1 point perspective? I wish I knew how to draw in 1 point perspective. Mom, teach me how.
Okay, but you're going to need a ruler and some hands. Before we begin, be sure that you're using the side of the ruler that has the inches marked on it, and notice where 1/2 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch is marked. Notice that between the inches there will be 16 small marks, so I might say 5/16. That's where you'll count 5 little marks. We're going to begin with a horizontal line. I'm just placing my ruler somewhere in the middle of my paper, and I am going to measure a 5-inch long horizontal line, and I put marks at every inch. Then I'm going to place my ruler vertically and make sure that it is matched up with the left edge of the paper, as vertical as you can get it, and I'm going to put a 3-inch mark going straight up on the left side and a 3-inch mark straight up on the right side. And then I'm going to try to get my ruler as horizontal as possible and make another 5-inch line and put the 1-inch mark where they need to go. Okay, now put the vanishing point anywhere inside of that rectangle. For this next step, I'm going to put a dot in the corner of that rectangle and make a straight line from the vanishing point through that dot all the way off of the edge of the paper. But notice I am not drawing the line on the inside of the rectangle. My straight line is going to start at the corner of the rectangle and be drawn outward away from the vanishing point. Make sure you are drawing lightly, and notice that I am drawing from the vanishing point through the corner of that rectangle, not to the corner of the paper. So watch again how I line up my ruler so that it is creating a straight line from the vanishing point through the corner of that rectangle, and I'm drawing just part of the straight line from the corner of the rectangle off the edge of the paper, and wherever it lands, that is the correct perspective. Your drawing will look different depending on where you placed your vanishing point within your rectangle. So now you can see we have a room in perspective. We have a back wall, we have a floor, ceiling, and 2 side walls. I'm just darkening in my 1-inch marks that went all the way around that first rectangle, and I am now starting to make the lines on the floor. And you notice I'm following the same rule. I'm taking my ruler, lining it up with the vanishing point, and I am drawing a straight line from the vanishing point through each 1-inch mark on the floor. Only drawing the lines on the floor, not on the back wall. Ta-da! Your ruler down where the 0 is right in the corner, and put a mark at 3/16 of an inch. So count 1, 2, 3, and put a small dot from the corner. And then you're going to hold your ruler horizontally and draw from that dot straight across. Place your ruler on that first dot that you just made and mark 1/4 of an inch. So the next horizontal line is going to be 1/4 of an inch away from the first horizontal line. From that dot, I'm going to measure 1/2 of an inch and make a horizontal line 1/2 an inch away from the last horizontal line. In perspective, these horizontal lines will appear to get further and further apart as they come closer to you. So I'm continuing to put dots slightly further and further apart, and I only have room for 3 more dots, and then I'm going to draw 3 more horizontal lines. Whoops. Watch Watch what I did there. I should have extended that horizontal line all the way to the edge of the paper, but I didn't, but I fixed it later on. Okay, there, I fixed it. Now I chose 2 colored pencils and I marked in a checkered pattern and began coloring with one color and then with the other. I'm pressing pretty hard with my colored pencils to get a really nice dark saturated color for the floor. Okay, the next step, I am going to put a mark where those floor tiles make a horizontal line, and I am going to take my ruler and draw a vertical line where every red and green tile connect. I put a tiny dot, and I'm drawing the vertical lines all the way up to the ceiling line and then stopping. Make sure that your ruler is pretty vertical. Line it up with the right edge of the paper just to make sure. What happened was my 2 vertical lines were kind of bumping into each other, so I had to erase and redraw them. Okay, I am making sure that my inches are marked on my rectangle that I drew at the very beginning, and now I'm drawing the receding lines on the right wall. That means the lines that go from the vanishing point through those little 1-inch marks all the way off the right edge of the paper. And I'm going to continue to draw all of the receding lines for the ceiling. So I'm just basically doing the same thing, connecting my ruler with the vanishing point through every single 1-inch mark, completely all around that rectangle. So I just did the ceiling, and now the last 2 receding lines from the vanishing point to the left edge of the paper. Next, I'm putting a small dot where the red and the green meet. That's the other end of the horizontal line on the floor, and I'm going to draw a vertical line going all the way up to the ceiling on the left side. Make sure that these vertical lines are all pretty vertical. I'm just using the edge of the paper as a reference point, so I'm going to put my ruler on the other side of the dot and just refer to the left edge of my paper to make sure that this vertical line goes straight up and down. Completing the ceiling means we need to draw some final horizontal lines. The vertical lines on the left will connect to the vertical lines on the right. So taking my ruler, keeping it horizontal, I am making sure that line number 1 on the left connects to line number 1 on the right. Line number 2 on the left connects to line number 2 on the right with a horizontal line. So make sure that your ruler stays horizontal. See how it's lining up with the top edge of the paper? That's how I know it's pretty horizontal. Now this vertical line does not have a mate, so it's just going to have a horizontal line that goes off the left edge of the paper like that, and I am done. Ready for coloring the right wall. I'm going to use the same 2 colors and create a checkerboard alternating pattern. Make sure that if you have a green square, you are not going to put another green square right next to it. So make sure you do an alternating color pattern. And the right wall, I am going to press hard again with my 2 colors so I get a lot of saturation. So 2 walls are going to be darker, brighter colored pencils, the floor and the right wall. And then I'm going to use a light pressure with my colored pencils so the left wall and the ceiling are lighter to give the illusion of a light source coming from somewhere. Find a picture of a landscape. I'm using just a real estate magazine to find a scene with sky and maybe some mountains, some trees. And I'm going to use my ruler because I know that my picture is about 5 by 3 inches, so I'm just measuring that photo and marking where I'm going to cut it. Oh, I changed my mind. I don't want the house in the scene. I'm going to use the other side of the picture, so I'm marking another spot where I think I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it to fit that back wall, which is going to be a window. being careful not to cut it too small. Make sure it fits just right. And then once you have the right size, go ahead and just use either a glue stick or a thin layer of liquid glue and glue it into place. In our checkered hallway with a beautiful view, we're going to include some people. So we have big, medium, and small silhouetted people. I'm going to use just a pencil and color the back of one of those silhouettes that I'm going to use. I'm just going to press really hard with my pencil to get it fully covered with pencil graphite. And then I'm going to find a place on the floor where this person is going to be standing. Now this is a large person, so they are going to be lower on the checkerboard floor, and I'm using a sharp pencil to outline the body. Medium-sized silhouetted people are going to appear a little higher up on the floor, so I'm going to pick a medium silhouetted person and do the same process, coloring on the back with my pencil, finding some place in the middle of the floor, make sure their feet are touching the floor, and use a sharp pencil to trace and press the outline of this silhouetted person. Now the smallest silhouetted people are going to appear highest up on the floor, so I'm going to do the same process of coloring on the back and tracing. Using a Sharpie or a black colored pencil might work just as well. Outline your silhouettes and color them in black. Yes, it's okay if your silhouette overlaps your landscape and you have to color on top of that. Adding one more person. The finishing touch is going to be a black colored pencil, or you could use a regular pencil, and I'm adding some shadows just right under the feet of these people standing in the hallway. Go side to side, just keep it very small. And there you have it. Your drawing is complete. 1 point perspective.
Look, here I am in perspective. I'm close, so I look bigger.
And I'm far, so I look smaller.
But it's an illusion. We're both the same size because we're twinsies.